Welcome, everybody, to our 14th annual Communication Alumni Panel. This is my favorite week of the year when my alumni come home to share their stories with my current students. So, my favorite time. Thank you for being here. We've got 11 alumni here. They have come from great distance, some of them. Some of them are on campus every day, but some of them have come at great distance to share with you their stories with what they have done with their communication degree. So the way that we're going to run this is I'm going to hand off the microphone, and they will introduce themselves, and they will share their stories about what they have done with their communication degree. And then we will open it up for questions afterwards, and you can ask any question that you like of them about their experiences, either while they were here as a student or since they have graduated. Some of them are recent grads, and some of them have been out for a hot minute. So without further ado, we're going to start off with Coach Ty Compton.
Hey everybody, my name is Ty Compton. I'm the head men's basketball coach here at UPIKE. I am a 2011 graduate of the communication program and have been here since. Started coaching as a student assistant when I was in school. This is my 16th year on our men's basketball staff and starting my 5th year as the head men's basketball coach here.
My name is Marianne Fletcher. I graduated in 2016 with a major in communication and a minor in film and media arts. I did an experiential learning trip with Chandra. We went to Germany. It was the best time of my life. Chandra helped me get an internship that I really thought I wanted. I was for sure that I was going to be a meteorologist, and that's what I wanted to do. And Chandra was like, I don't think that's really for you. And I was like, what do you know? I'm going to do it. So I interned for a week at WYMT, and I said, oh, this is not for me. So then I started interning there under a reporter. So that's where I kind of fell in love with news. I was there for about 4 years and then had a little boy, and now I just do nonprofit work.
My name is Kyle Collier. I was a December 2011 graduate. I majored in communications and then minored in Spanish. I spent 9 years at WYMT. Me and Marianne worked together, and after 9 years in TV news, got out of the business, started working in corporate communications, and now I work for a healthcare company as their senior director of communications.
Hello, my name is Lance Tackett. I'm a high school teacher in Martin County, which is about an hour away from here. I was a graduate in December of 2020, so I graduated right when COVID kind of took over. While I was here, I was a student ambassador in the admissions department, so I gave tours, provided a lot of information to different students that I met along the 3.5 years I was here. Now, like I said, this is my 4th year as a high school teacher. I wanted to go into broadcasting and realized during COVID that was not really what I wanted to do. I graduated with a major in communication and minor in film and media arts, just like Marianne, so I thought, hey, I'm going to be a broadcaster. And then during COVID, especially when nobody was hiring, I had a lot of time to think, so I chose the route of teaching, and I'm still there, and I'll probably be there another 30 years until I retire. So that's what you have to do. You have to be 55 in the state of Kentucky to retire, and you have to teach for at least 27 years, and I started when I was 21, so I have to teach for 34. I'm excited about it. I do love it, I'm not being sarcastic. I do love it.
Hi, I'm Stevie Madison. I graduated in 2018 with a comm degree, And my communication degree allowed me to go study abroad in Costa Rica with Chandra, and also it was the best time of my life. It also let me go to do the Disney program, and that was also really fun. But I bartend now, and I communicate all the time.
Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. Thank you. It's a pleasure having you all here today. My name is Rob Rundle. I graduated in spring of 2018. I was a first-generation college student. I came to UPIKE on a baseball scholarship, played for 4 years, and I absolutely love my time here. I currently work at Xavier University. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I teach public speaking in person there. But my 40 hours a week day job, I am an assistant director for care and support services, so I support faculty members, staff, and students, making sure that their journey is on a solid path all the way until graduation, or if there's something on the back end for faculty and staff that they need help with. Here at UPIKE, I actually, with Lance, we called some of the basketball games for Pike TV, which was a lot of fun. So I encourage you, while you're in college, please do all the things that you're thinking about, at least try it, and you'll regret it if you don't. So just by a show of hands, I'm curious, how many people are freshmen here? Anybody? Oh my goodness, wow. Yeah, so 10 years ago is when my journey here at UPIKE started. So it's crazy to look back and reflect and just see all the changes, and a lot of great things are happening here in this community. So very thankful to be here. And after that, I went to grad school to Northern Kentucky University. Dr. Massner pushed me to go to grad school. I definitely wouldn't have if it wasn't for her. So I'm very thankful for her. So lean on her, lean on all of us here at the alumni panel. Please ask us any questions that you may have.
My name's Kenzie Smith. I think I'm the most recent graduate. I actually just finished in July. And I now work at UPIKE, so I'm here on campus every day. But basically, I was a double major in communication and film media arts. And I wouldn't have even done anything that I did without Chandra. I didn't have a major when I started. I had literally no clue what I wanted to do. And I took a comm class, and Shan was like, "You're a comm major." And I was like, no, I'm not. And she was like, "Trust me." And so I became a comm major, and then I was like, I have an extra year. Well, I say extra year. I was in my second year, and I was like, I graduate next year. And I decided to pick up another major, like a crazy person, but Shan stood beside me and helped me get it done, and it was so worth it. I learned so much doing the film and media arts program, but I'm so glad that UPIKE has that opportunity because I literally, I had the best time, but if it weren't for the faculty, I wouldn't have done it. I don't think I would even be here. I would have dropped out because I really didn't see myself going to college. I told my parents, I'm not going to college. And I decided the day of my growl to show up. And I was like, I'm going to college. So I did the thing. And now I'm in grad school. I'm doing the MBA program, which also I wouldn't have done without Shan. I was like, I don't want to graduate. I'm not ready to be an adult. And she was like, that's why we have grad school. So you can be a student for longer. So that's what I did. And I love the business side because I've never taken a business class before. And it's really interesting. So if you're thinking about, you don't know what you want to do after college, I would consider grad school because it kind of prolongs your being a kid. So, but I had a great time here in my undergrad. I did so many things. I went to Inside Washington seminar with Chandra, and I'm actually going back in January. So if you've never been to the Washington Center, I would definitely recommend going because it was the best time. And now I'm going back as a grad student, a has-been. But it's going to be so much fun, and I'm super excited. But that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So I'm Zach Bray. I, like Lance, also graduated in 2020, so shout out to the College of Zoom. I was back home in my bedroom watching the last season of, I think it was the last season of Pose. And I had a communication class. It wasn't with Dr. Shan, it was with Rachel Breckenridge at the time. And I was like, wow, I have one more assignment due, and it's due in 5 minutes. So I paused my TV show, I grabbed my laptop, and I crammed that assignment in 5 minutes, and I hit turned in, closed my laptop, hit play on the show, and then I said, wow, I just graduated college. That's crazy. But anyways, while I was here, like many others, I did start off as a communication major, don't let me lie. But I started off as a triple major. Don't know why I did that, don't know why I was allowed. And I took intro to comm and I hated it, and I dropped the major. And then I went to political science, and then I went to education, and then I went back to political science, and then I went back to communication. And then I finished out at communication, and I fell in love. But also over my time here, I was the media assistant for Chandra for about 3-ish years. Which led me to my very first job after undergrad, which was in the nonprofit world doing some media work throughout the Promise Zone counties in Kentucky. So it's about 8 counties in the Eastern Kentucky region, working with broadband. But then I left there and went into academic advising at Georgia State, and now I am at Berea College in residence life.
Hi, my name is Alexandria Alexis, and I recently just graduated in May of this year. It took me 10 years because I came here of fall of 2014. So when I first got here, I had no idea what I wanted to do. My parents are immigrants, so it was just instilled into me that I just had to go to college. There was no other way for me. So when I first got here, Rachel Little, well, she's Rachel Breckenridge now, was like, I think you can be a communications major because you can kind of argue your way in or out of anything. So I kind of ran with it and took it. It took me forever because I didn't really have the family background to help me understand, because I was first to do anything, first to graduate high school, to apply for college. So my parents didn't know what they were doing, neither did I, but Shan and Rachel both helped me so much, and finally we got it together. I technically was supposed to graduate spring of 2020, but during the pandemic, life got the best of us, so had to put college on a back burner. But then working fast food, figured out there was a tuition reimbursement program, and I took my opportunity and took it and finished this fall, or started this fall and graduated this past May. I currently work at Stepstone, foster care basically. Basically what my job is, if you guys ever seen the movie Precious, the caseworker, that's basically what I do. I deal with kids who come in from the state who are abused or neglected, or homeless teens, or just trying to find their way, and we help them, get the therapy services that they need, the mental health stuff that they need. The state, we provide them housing so that way when they turn 18, they don't just go out into the streets. We provide them with housing so that way they can get a job, or if they want to go to college, they can. But that's basically it. I will say my time here was a lot. I think for most of us, we've seen the most craziest things dealing with pandemic and the little protest things that were going on downtown, and just dealing with a lot of craziness that we've kind of put in the back of our head, no, that wasn't real, it's all fever dream. But I will say communications, it gets you a job in almost anything. Even though I'm a communications major, I literally have a social work job. And I'm just glad I never gave up, and Shan and Rachel never gave up on me and was always like, hey, what you doing? You gonna finish? What's going on with those classes? And I'm like, okay, I'm working on it. So, yeah, that's it.
My name's Alicia Sykes. I graduated in 2016. I live in Lexington. I am a property manager of an apartment complex. It is a luxury complex, so getting to deal with doctors and lawyers and athletes, and everything was really great. I am also a head coach of a girls lacrosse team at one of the high schools in Lexington. So that is where I spend most of my free time. But my time at UPIKE was great. I was here for 5 years, met my best friend here. It's crazy being back with her here where we started, but it was great. I'm from like 30 minutes from here, so I stayed home. But if it wasn't for Chandra and Rachel, I probably wouldn't have made it out of this place and be in the position I am now.
My name is Mona Branham, and I graduated in 2016. I actually was probably about 3/4 the way done with my business degree, and one of my really good friends was a communications major, and from public speaking, I believe it was 225. I really enjoyed speaking, and I had decided when I was in high school that I was going to be a lawyer. And that plan continued on. That is what my entire capstone class was based on, me going to law school. And I graduated with a communications degree and the bachelor's of business administration. And I took a year off and worked a little bit and took the LSAT and went to law school in Grundy, Virginia, which is about an hour away from here. I graduated in 2021, so right during the pandemic. I took the bar during the pandemic. That was interesting. I passed the bar on the first try, and now I work for the Legal Aid Society, which is located in Louisville, Kentucky. I do work remotely the majority of the time. This is my paralegal Monroe. And I am the custody and visitation hotline attorney. So during a study break, while I was studying for the bar, I got a job opportunity email and applied for it. It was for a housing paralegal. They interviewed me. They called me back 3 days later and said, "Hey, we've got an attorney position open. Do you want to interview for it?" And I was like, well, I'm on my way to catch a flight for vacation, and I'm in a Metallica t-shirt. Does that matter? And they said no, and I did the interview in a Zaxby's parking lot, and I received my offer letter the following week. And I have been doing that for about 3 years next week. So when you see lawyers on TV and you think about criminal defense and mediation and all that, what I do is none of that. And I didn't even realize that what I do would be a thing. So I assist individuals who are in poverty and provide them with free advice on custody visitation matters. I've had to gather information about guardianship, paternity as well, and I help explain to them how to represent themselves. So, not what you think of when you think about your typical attorney. Okay, yeah, I think that's good enough.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephen Morales. I am the Director of International Student Services here at the University of Pikeville. I graduated in 2015 with my degree in communications. Once I graduated from here, I went back home. I'm originally from Kissimmee, Florida. I taught high school for 4 years. I actually taught autistic class for about 4 years. And then from there, I can attest that my communications degree did land me this job. I actually got an internship at the University of Texas on Coach Charlie Strong's team. So if you do the math, that was 2016, 2017. I was there as recruitment help, basically. And if you follow college football, he did get fired that year. So when he gets fired, the whole staff gets fired. From there, ended up with Frank Mora, Coach Frank Mora at UCLA, go Bruins. I was there for 2 years, and then he got fired. So I actually landed a good coaching job, my own coaching job. I was the assistant head coach at Dakota College at Bottineau. It is a junior college up in North Dakota. So just a little bit about me. I said I'm from Florida. Florida and North Dakota don't mix. All right. I spent 6 months up there, then got a call from UPIKE, ended up coming back. Was a GA here right when COVID started, right in 2020. And then, COVID hit. I needed to make some money. So I got into admissions, did admissions for 2 years, then slid over to diversity. And then, past year and a half, I've been directly over international student services. So, yeah, that's my story.
Anybody have any questions? For any of the panelists, any questions?
I'm gonna tell you, for me, the most useful comm class by far was public speaking. Public speaking by far. Because if you're not gonna be able to speak publicly just like this in front of anybody, you're not gonna be able to survive. And just to be honest with you, going to an interview is public speaking. So public speaking by far was the best for me.
I don't think so. Okay, for me, I will agree with you. Public speaking was my, this, I'm gonna need it for sure in any job you do, because like you said, if you can't speak in front of people, then you ultimately can't really work. Also, while we were here, me and Zach both were on a speech and debate team, and I have a couple of national titles because of public speaking, learning how to speak in front of people. And also, that law comm class combo that we took where we had to debate each other. I think that's the first time Zach was like, oh no, I do not want to go against her. But any type of class where you have to get in front of people and speak or argue a point, it's something very crucial, I think, for your degree and just getting a job in general.
So mine is two. I will echo, my first one is advanced public speaking. Because not only did it teach you how to speak in front of an audience like this, but it also taught you how to do one-on-one conversations, as well as panels, presentations, job interviews. Especially if you go in the higher ed route of your career, the higher education interviews are a lot, and it's a lot of panels, and you spend a whole day selling yourself, basically. So that helped a lot, but then on top of that, I would say the it's the senior class. Capstone. Yeah. Because that also helps prep you for the end, but also how to market yourself. So even little things that I still use to this day, if I interview, I look up the company's or for my case, institution colors, and I make sure that my tie and my suit fall into those colors, because it lets them automatically think that you're a part of their culture and their organization. So even just small tips like that carry with you and really help when you're out doing the interview process.
Mine was also capstone. I literally had just finished my capstone class and was interviewing for GA positions. And if it weren't for that class, I wouldn't have known what I was doing, because I've had a lot of jobs, but most of them have been informal interviews, and in retail or whatever, you don't have to worry about it as much. But being a GA is not really a huge deal, but the interviews are kind of scary, not gonna lie, because at least mine was. It was a panel interview, and I'd never had a panel interview, but it went really well thanks to Shan's advice. I literally, to a T, did everything she said. And then we did a mock interview in the class, and that was super helpful. And I wouldn't have went to grad school without the capstone class. I started that class and I was like, I'm not going to grad school, LOL. And Shan was like, by the end of the semester, I can guarantee half of you will go to grad school. And like one of us, I think out of the class was like, oh, I plan to. It was not me. I can guarantee you that. It was not I. But literally by the end of the class, I was applying. Like I was like, okay, I guess I should do it. So that was probably the best class I took my entire 3 years.
Well, I don't think there's a perfect answer, but I would say every communication class is the most important. That's just the honest truth. But if we had to pick, I'd probably say advanced public speaking. I teach public speaking here at UPIKE online. I don't know if any of you are in my class. It's online, accelerated, but anyway, public speaking is so important for whatever profession you go into, whether it's the news, whether it's being a basketball coach, whether you're working as a res life coordinator. All jobs, all career paths, you have to speak in public at some point, whether you like it or not. And it's really good too, especially when that time comes later in life, when you get married or friends get married, you're gonna have to talk in front of people, and it's just inevitable. So the more practice you have, then you're gonna feel more confident. And what you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it, and that's with every class. But capstone especially, Dr. Massner, she will challenge you. She will challenge you extremely hard of, hey, you really need to sit, reflect, and analyze where do you want to be come May of next year or December? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? And you have to be intrinsically motivated to make that decision, right? You can't have other people really telling you what you should do, what you can't do, what you can do. You have to make that decision for yourself, and Dr. Massner has been an excellent resource, amazing professor to help guide all of us into our journeys here.
I think that interpersonal communication is the most important class to me. And that's because it kind of focuses on communication, like messages that you're receiving and giving. And I find that that helps me in all aspects, like any relationship, friendships, anything like that I'm trying to clearly communicate. It allowed me, the skills to like understand your body language and like what message you're giving, and then like how it's being received.
For me, I would pick two. The class that I teach in high school, I have a journalism class. I have one period of journalism, which is mostly seniors, but I also teach a class called JAG Kentucky. So JAG is a nonprofit that provides school districts with a grant that will pay their teachers, but the skills, the curriculum comes straight from them, and it's really an intro to comm class and a public speaking class put together. It's pretty much, Marianne knows what I'm talking about. She took the same class I did. Back then it was called JKG. That position opened up after I got out of college, and I always said if I'm ever going to be a teacher, that's the class I'm going to teach, so that's where I'm at now. But if I had to pick two classes, advanced public speaking, because I felt like it challenged me in ways that I had never been challenged before in terms of having to speak about certain things. Like in that class, I took it with Miss Rachel Breckenridge now. She was a little back then. But one of the assignments was to write my own eulogy, which was a really, y'all remember that? Yeah, oh my God. Everybody cried. Everybody always cried. It was a sad thing, but at the same time, it was a challenge that, opened my eyes to what you really can think about and what you really can put a lot of effort into. Desktop publishing was the other one. I love desktop publishing. I loved them all, but those two, I think, for what I do in my career, those two help me the most. Comm theory is another one that I really loved. I loved comm theory. It was hard, but it really helps you, especially as a teacher, understanding sort of like, interpersonal communication, those sort of messages, and understanding why people communicate the way that they do, depending on, as a public school teacher, you're going to have kids from different backgrounds that may have come from a lot of different situations in the same classroom. So the way they may communicate with you is completely different than the way somebody else may, and that just maybe that stems from their home life. And being able to understand that really, really helps you out.
So everyone's beat me to it, but I'm going to agree with you. It's every communications class is vitally important, and you need to take grasp of everything that you're doing. But I'll change pace a little bit and say whatever internship you're going to do, it's going to set the trajectory of whatever you do. So for me, I was the first ever, the Washington Center intern that UPIKE ever sent. and that really put me out of my comfort zone. So I would challenge you to get out of your comfort zone. I was a kid from a small town just right here in Pikeville, and I ended up going to Washington, D.C., and I was in this big city, very small fish in a very big pond, and trying to challenge myself. So for me at that point, I was a dad, so I actually left my wife at that point in time. I left my kid behind to challenge myself and just to see what else was out there from a communication standpoint. I interned for a political PR firm, and I actually got to take classes while I was up there as well, which UPIKE actually gave me credit for. So I had professors from Boston College, I had professors from Penn, and that changed the trajectory for everything, and I think Shan would agree with that. And then for me as well, I actually transferred into UPIKE, so I didn't go here all 4 years. I only went 2 years. So a lot of my classes I had at another university, but I would echo what you said from an interpersonal communication standpoint. I also coach high school soccer, and then the comm theory. So all of those classes, along with the public speaking, really molded my communications journey, so to speak, and led me into TV, and then led me into healthcare PR, and then led me into coaching. So all of that has formed what I've done with my degree.
Yeah, so basically just to echo what everyone else has said, I would say advanced public speaking and journalism had helped me the most, along with my internship. But basically, if you think that maybe one day you might want to be a journalist, you can take the class and forget everything that you know about writing a single paragraph, because it's wrong. You'll get like an AP Styles book, and you learn everything that you thought you already knew. Of course, the same thing what everyone else says, every day is public speaking. I mean, even when you're placing your order, you're talking to someone else, or maybe you're talking to 2 other people. It's all very important.
So for me, I guess I didn't share this on the front end, but my journey was a little different in communication. I spent 4 years in the business program here. Like Kyle, I transferred to UPIKE, but I got 3 extra years once I got here. So math I learned really quick in the business program. I was 3 classes from graduating with a business degree. All 3 of those classes, I had put off all of the math work. Everything, quantitative method, all the math. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. For the first time in my life, I couldn't figure it out. So I had to pivot. I had to figure out what to do. And my girlfriend, my wife now at the time, was a communications major. So I thought, well, let's just do that. And before then, I hadn't met a lot of these folks and a lot of the professors. And I went through 15 hours in the summer, and then 18 and 18 in the fall and the spring to finish the entire communications program in a summer and 2 semesters. So it was a little expedited. I learned a lot really quick. And, for me now in coaching, I couldn't be more thankful that that's the route that I took. That's what I knew I wanted to do. Everything that we did, from resumes to capstone to all that kind of stuff, I was allowed to gear that toward coaching resume and kind of the field that I wanted to do. And even writing, as Mary Ann said, I've never enjoyed writing. I never enjoyed English class. I never enjoyed any of those kinds of things. But getting into communication at that time, we wrote for the newspaper, and we went out and we reported and did articles and different things. And I I had an editor at that point in time. We turned the articles in, and she tells me how bad my writing is, and I have to go back and correct it before we can put it in the newspaper. So once I figured out that I could write what I about what I wanted to write about, and somebody else could tell me what was wrong with it and then fix it, that was great for me. I didn't have to worry about the nuances of the English part of it. I could just write what I wanted and hope that it was formatted correctly, or somebody else could tell me that it was formatted incorrectly and do that. So that I think unlocked something for me that kind of showed me that I do enjoy writing. And since then, I've wrote several different articles that have about what I do, and that's been a little therapeutic for me. But the communication piece and coaching is critical. I've had the opportunity to sit in a ton of living rooms and recruit people from all over the world for 16 years now, and I'm from Grundy, Virginia originally, grew up here in the mountains. My wife is from here, so I'm Appalachia through and through, and I'm all of a sudden having to recruit people from all over the world. And while I was well traveled and had some culture to me, there was a lot that I needed to learn. There was a lot that I had to figure out in terms of different demographics and dynamics from different places, and just the way that to sympathize or to just understand different upbringings and different. So the ability to read body language, your ability to relate, the ability to kind of understand the way that I needed to communicate, and kind of how to steer certain recruitments and steer certain conversations, and kind of be a chameleon in some aspects of just being able to just relate, I guess, overall was critical. And a lot of that came from the communication experience that I had. And again, I didn't get to really take my time and really enjoy the classes, probably just because at that point, I was in year 5. My wife was about to graduate in year 3, so I was just like, well, I gotta figure it out. I gotta get moving. So I had to get through it, had to get out of it, but very, very thankful that I did, and it certainly served me really well in my career up to this point.
For me, my favorite class with the FMA was definitely the news class. I really think that it is a learned trade. It's a hands-on trade. Getting out there, getting your hands on a camera, getting your hands on a mic, and just doing that. And learning what works, what doesn't work. Look back at your stories, look back at your stand-ups and say, oh, that was a little weird that I did this there. Maybe next time I won't do that. So in my opinion, that was mine.
For me, my favorite comm class it's new. It was new it was Heroes of Our Time. I'm a superhero guy. I'm a big nerd, so I love that class. But from FMA, the class, I can't remember what it's called, and I'm a horrible person for not remembering it. But when we would do our PIKE TV news every month, I loved it. Because we would go out and we'd film our own news packages, and we'd get me into the studio and do the news. I absolutely loved it. I feel horrible that if Andrew Reed was here, he'd be upset. I feel horrible not knowing, remember what that's called. But it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, so I'm just going to be real. I'm all about saving money. And double majoring in FMA and communication, at least when I was here, you can get 2 degrees and you're not even having to take extra classes, which is amazing. And I actually started out as a film and media arts major, and then I had to take a communication class, so it was mass media and society, as an elective, and I fell in love with it. And then I took public speaking, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna see if this works within 4 years, because I just personally, as a first generation student, didn't grow up with a whole lot. I gotta be cautious. And so thankfully it all worked out, but a lot of the great classes in FMA, you had intermediate broadcasting, that really gave me confidence to wanna call some of the basketball games. I started doing the women's games, and then I started doing some of the men's games, and it was so much fun. And building your portfolio it's imperative, especially while you're a freshman. Start now, because you're just building up your portfolio, and then by the time you're in your capstone class, whether it's film and media arts, if it's communication, you're gonna be prepared. You're gonna be prepared. But my personal favorite was definitely the senior production because I got to create a short film, and I did one with my best friend. His name is Chris Fig. He graduated in spring of 2018 as well. Chris, if you're watching, which I'm gonna send this to you, so yes. But we did a documentary about him with the effects of having a concussion with football, and tells his whole story from high school to college and having to stop playing here at UPIKE. And it was a lot of fun because I was able to be creative and, again, utilizing the public speaking skills from communication. I had to talk to various trainers in a small group setting. I had to talk to some other people too. So, but yeah, FMA and comm, excellent, excellent.
So I threw on the FMA my last year. I was like, I have 30 hours left to graduate. I might as well do a whole major because that's usually how long it takes to do a whole degree. And I did the mass media class. That was one of my favorites. It was basically me and Shannon in the class. Like, that's it. Nobody else came to class. Well, this one other boy, but I was the only one that talked. So, yeah, it was on Zoom, and I was the only person that would show up in person. So I basically got to learn, like, so much because it was like just me and Shan, like fully being mentored about media. So, I mean, that's basically what got me my start in FMA because I was like, wow, there's like all kinds of stuff out there that I have like no clue about. And when I started the FMA program, I mean, no one really thought I could like do it that quick. Like, I didn't think I could do it that quick, but you can apparently. I took 24 credit hours last semester. I would have done more, but they wouldn't let me. And my favorite classes in FMA were, again, the broadcasting class. That one was so much fun because we got to go out and interview people, and like that was awesome. And then I did an internship with Pike TV, and that was super fun. But they now have a new route that you can do like game design, and that was a super fun class. If you play video games, like any amount, like literally when I started, I only played Sims. So that was my foot in the door. I was like, I've played Sims before. I know about video games. I didn't. So anyways, I took that class and we designed a whole video game, and that was super cool. Somehow I ended up being the front runner. I designed pretty much the whole game, and I was the one with the least amount of game experience. But I was the only one who wanted to do it because I was excited, because I was a new major. Like everyone else was kind of tired of FMA at that point. But then there's also like the intro classes are really important. Like you have to get your foundation down before you can do anything. Like, and I was taking it with all the freshmen as a senior, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, are you a freshman? Like, no. But so that was really awkward, but it was fun. I made it. But I would say take as many FMA classes as you can. I would really focus on those because you have to take all the comm classes, obviously, if you're a comm major. But if you're thinking about doing it, even just a minor, like, it's going to be worth it just because you're going to get hands-on experience, like Marianne said. Like, you're going to go out in the field and learn a lot more than you ever thought you could.
I definitely did not double major, but I will hold this mic in for the next question. But I will tell you, I took one FMA class, and it was like at 8 a.m. And I will tell you, I struggled to get to class at 2 p.m. I usually came in like 30 minutes late and brought lemonade. It's the truth. I'm sorry, y'all. But anyways, Dr. Sham would get a text message every single morning that I was there at 8 of how I was so tired and I hated that I had to take an 8 a.m. But yeah. I'm sending thoughts and prayers. I also lived in College Square at the time, and it was in the building in front of the business school.
Oh.
And I would drive because I would pull out. I would get out of bed at 8:55 p.m. You know, I support. I was not a great student. but I graduated, yes. So. Does
Any other question? There's no such thing as a bad question. It could be anything about personal journeys or anything like that. I know you have to speak in public. It's terrifying.
Yes, so good question. So I like in second grade, I decided I either wanted to be Miss USA or a lawyer. And I did not meet the qualifications to be Miss USA. So I said, wow, law school, Elle Woods. And so when I got to UPIKE, I was dead set on law school. That's what I had prepped my whole life for. And so I was like, okay, well, let's study political science and history with Dr. Nancy Cade, who I still love to this day. And I did it for a minute, and then I really ran out of the classes that was of interest to me really fast. But then on top of that, I had the honor to be a lot of the first openly gay positions and things here on campus at UPIKE, including the first openly gay student body president in 2018 and 19. And at that time, UPIKE didn't have like set support structures for the LGBTQIA plus community here on campus. So I had to, through my involvement, I was able to create my own, and my own looked a lot like Dr. Shan, Rachel Little, now Breckenridge at the time, Rob Music, the former Dean of Students, JTO, Dr. Worth, Dr. Webb, and also the communication department in general. So in about 2018, 19, 2020 class, we were all really close. So me, Rob, Madison, Lance, Alex, we're here around the same time. And no matter if we did not talk outside of class, once we went into the comm lab, and we all hung out in the comm lab. So anytime you would go to the comm lab, there would be about 30, 40 of us just sitting in there hanging out. And it was like, we called ourselves the comm fam because we were like a family. But after experiencing being the first openly gay student body president and having to create my own support, and then graduating in 2020, a lot of my interest after that became what was happening to the students that may not have been as involved and was not able to create their own support systems here at UPIKE. And that really opened up my eyes and turned me into wanting to do student affairs. And I live by this old quote, it's be the person you needed when you were younger. And so I specifically really like being at the institution that I'm at because it's a Christian affiliated institution, much like UPIKE. And I'm able to do a lot to create those support systems to make sure that my residents, and this year specifically, for the first time, I'm in a first year all male identifying residence hall. So I've been really able to create a lot of programming, a lot of intentionality to make sure that that space is open and accepting of all people. So that's kind of why I switched out of, and then like political science, I ran out of the classes, and I was in speech and debate. I went into Rachel's office, who was also my academic advisor. I had a full breakdown because also, like I said, I did not go to class, and if you took Dr. Nancy Cade, you had to go to class. So I was kind of failing those courses. And Rachel was like, well, you already have as many comm classes as you do this. Come on over to comm. And I said, you know what, you're right. And I did that, so yeah.
What other questions? Anything?
We're not scared of talking.
Clearly.
We don't bite.
No, she's not.
Y'all should see me at public speaking. Y'all love that? It's scary.
I think we had that in one class together.
Let's, there's no questions. Let's ask, talk about your journey after graduating. Like, how was that process? Like, maybe finding a job or just getting into the field with the comm degree.
I'll start that off.
So can you see what were the
Yeah.
about what to do with your comm degree?
So with my comm degree, I honestly didn't know what to do because I was like, when I decided that I wanted to be a communications major, a part of me was like, I want to be in PR. I want to plan parties. Like, that was my thing. And then going through all these courses and realize how much communication is such like a broad spectrum of you can get a job of almost literally doing anything. Once I finished my last quiz and I was like, oh my God, it took me like 9.5 years, but I just graduated college. Like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? I literally went on Indeed for like 6 hours. And if it said communications, anything related, communications related, public relations, social work, I was just applying for things. I still have my resume that I did from my sophomore year that Shan helped me build. And I just changed the dates and switched out like previous jobs that I had. And I spent from like May up until June, I was just applying at PR firms, law offices, TV stations, newsletter places, everywhere. And like, I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to find this. I'm going to be stuck in fast food forever. Like, I just wasted 40 grand. And I get an email one day and it was like, hey, we want you to come in. You made it to the second round of interviews. And I'm like, wait, what? Who is this? So I had to like Google what company was emailing me about an interview because I put so many applications in. And like, sometimes you just have to do it. Like, you have to, after you graduate and you receive your diploma, it's going to hit you like, okay, you're done now. You're in the real world with the big dogs. So it's like, you have to put in applications everywhere. Even if it doesn't seem like it's something you want to do, you never know. Because I mean, you guys know, like 4 or 5 years ago, who would have thought me being a social worker was a thing for me? Like, I was like, I'm gonna be a lawyer. I want to debate people. I want to make, my other team cry a little bit. It's not want to do it, but I'm here taking care of people's kids, and I love it. So it's a real process. Like, you have to stay on top of it. It's not something you just put away and just hope for the best. Like, you gotta call, send emails, keep doing your cover letters. It's a whole process. It took 4 months before I actually found a real job that pertained to my degree.
I'll go real fast. So graduating in 2020, the whole world shut down and it was a really crazy time. And the great thing about communication is you can do anything with it. The scary thing is that you can do anything with it. It's not an education degree. It's not a nursing degree. Like, you're not automatically going off the stage knowing where you're going most of the time. And I knew I did not want to do media. So it felt very like, oh, well, what do I do? How do I actually advertise myself as a communication degree, somebody that just graduated? And then that's like when I found well, I'd already known about public relations, but I went into that route. And then just learning how public relations is actually tied into everything. So no matter, even if you don't work in public relations, yourself, how you bring yourself into a space, how you advertise your work, you are a brand. So learning how to create my own brand to go into what I wanted within higher education.
So I'm going to piggyback off what she said. When I graduated in May of 2016, I had absolutely zero idea what I wanted to do with my life. So I moved back home to my parents' house. I worked as an assistant manager of a water park, like an hour from here. But I always knew that I wanted out of Pike County. Pike County will always be my home, but I'm more of a city girl. So I took the first opportunity to leave this area to go to Lexington, and it was a leasing consultant position, and I've been doing it for 8 years now. I couldn't imagine doing anything else just because I get to help people with opportunities that we were not presented with here. I work for a major corporate company out of Boston. It's not like personally owned places, which is most of what's around here. So being able to open my eyes to different things that wasn't presented to me growing up or being in your all's position, I truly couldn't imagine doing anything else than what I'm doing now.
Okay, so I already said a little bit of this earlier, but after I graduated, I knew I was I didn't know I was going to law school. I was prepping to take the LSAT the following spring. Took that, went to law school. I'm actually going to be completely honest, I failed out of law school my first year. So went back because I knew that's what I wanted to do. But how my communications degree played into all of this you take a legal reading and research class, and you had to, present your case, and that is speaking in front of the professor and your classmates, and you still get a little bit nervous, even if you graduated with a communications degree. Later on during my law school career, I took trial ad, and another way my communications degree came back to me was I'm from this area, and I don't know, you all can tell me, but I had a pretty thick accent. Probably still do. So I worked really hard on practicing my trial ad opening statement in the mirror, and I go to class, I present, and the first thing the professor said was, "Your accent is cute." Great, okay. I tried to work on that and not have that happen. Another way my communications degree has affected what I do here recently was, as an attorney, you have to take what are called continuing legal education programs, and I recently presented my first one on what I do. So that was a little nerve-wracking, but just thinking about all the things that I had learned in public speaking, advanced public speaking, kind of gave me a sense of calm while I'm presenting this presentation to my entire company. With what I do with assisting individuals who otherwise wouldn't, they're not able to afford an attorney, I'm on the phone generally. So I don't know what these individuals are feeling, but it's my job to kind of explain what their options are, what they can do, and honestly, sometimes all they're looking for is to feel heard. And I have to change my tone and be very understanding without even being able to see these people. So I think those are several ways through my law school journey and through what I do right now, how with what I did here with communication has impacted me and kind of keeps me going.
All right, everyone. Well, we really appreciate you all being an audience here today and sitting here with us asking questions. If you have any questions that you want to ask because you're afraid to talk out loud, please come talk to us individually. We'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. But we know that you probably have class or other things to get going to, so we'll let you go. Grab something to drink, grab a bite of cake, and say hi to us if you can. Thank you all so much.